What's up, friends? I'm Jonathan Miller, and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. IVE, one of the reigning 4th-gen queens of K-pop, has finally dropped their first full-length studio album, appropriately titled IVE IVE. You know, just in case you forget who we're talking about. Today, we're gonna go through this record track by track, and I'll be sharing my thoughts on its genres, track listing, production, vocals, etc. Please remember that this video is just my opinion and you're free to disagree with me in the comments or agree with me because I'm right. Just kidding. If you have no idea who this blonde-haired nobody is on your screen, I am a pop singer-songwriter and a longtime K-pop fan. So when I went into this album, I was looking for a few things. Number one, pop confection goodness. I am a sucker for a top 40 melody and I wanted to hear them on this record. Number two, I saw KITSCH, and you best believe I was looking for Liz vocals. And number three, IVE serves anthems, and I wanted more. Fortunately for me, I've pretty much knocked this one out of the park, but I have plenty of reasons as to why. So subscribe, hit that like button, comment and tell me which songs are your favorite from IVE IVE, and let's get into it. The album opens with Blue Blood, a bass synth-heavy song with a battle-like atmosphere that hit every anthemic want I could have had before listening to this album. Whenever I listen to a new record, I always listen to it once straight through to kind of get the whole picture, because an album is a completed art project. And there could not have been a better album opener than Blue Blood. It is made for stadiums with an electric chorus that you just can't help but gravitate to when it comes on. This song's one and only job is to be the album opener and not try to be a title track. It sets the tone for IVE IVE perfectly by giving a dose of that anthemic sound that IVE is already previously known for from other singles, and begins to set up the shifting tones that are present throughout the rest of the record. In case it wasn't obvious, Blue Blood was an instant favorite for me, and I expect it probably will be for others too. Title tracks in K-pop, unlike the West, are not always where the title of an album actually comes from. However, I Am seems to fit the role of standout single, ready for music promotions, and where the title of the album is most related to. It's my understanding that the lyrics generally reflect a theme of independence and standing firm in the path you've chosen for yourself. And sonically, you can feel that without even needing to speak the language. I Am is a bop. It's battle of the high notes among the IVE members and serves catchy pop hooks more akin to IVE's debut track 11, as opposed to the anti-drop style of songs like Love Dive. Wonyoung is arguably the face of the group. She's very well known in Korea, and I was a little worried going into this record that we might have the Harry Styles or Justin Timberlake effect, meaning that because of the public's reception to her, the other members kind of fall by the wayside unintentionally. No shade to any member of One Direction or NSYNC, by the way. I'm just using it as a simple comparison. Anyway, I was very happy to see in the music video that Wonyoung wasn't the anchor. The girl has talent, she's charismatic, and she fits the visual role in a K-pop group very well. But seeing more of the other girls in the music video for I Am made IVE feel more like a group. Guile sounds great in her sections, Liz's crystal clear vocals are stunning, and everybody looks flawless, which is an important reminder that IVE is 6 members, not just one. The songwriting construction of I Am screams single-worthy, and the tempo is a nice pickup after Blue Blood. It continues the anthemic sound that IVE is carving out as their signature, and damn, do they slay it! And you can slay your music career with DistroKid. We all know that streaming is a driving force in the music industry, but how do artists actually get their music up on streaming platforms? Well, this is where DistroKid comes in. DistroKid is an amazing music distributor helping artists like you and me get our music up on streaming platforms, and for one small yearly fee, you can distribute as much music as you want. I'll show you how to distribute a song because it's super easy. Your screen might look a little different depending on which plan you choose, but start by selecting which stores you want your music to go to, add your artist name, and connect your artist profiles and socials. Add your release date, record label, and cover art. Add your language that the song is in and its genres, put in your track title, select the file, and add your songwriter info and mark if this track is explicit or a radio edit. Let DistroKid know if this is an instrumental track, and depending on your plan, you can choose when the preview clip starts playing, like on TikTok or Apple Music and iTunes. Pick your price and choose any extras you want to add on, but they do cost a little bit, so be aware. Click the important checkboxes and hit done. Then your song will be on its way to stores. Use my special VIP link to save yourself 7% on your first year's membership with DistroKid. Link is in the description. KITSCH has many things going for it, and one glaringly obvious thing going against it that many fans have already pointed out. So what I personally liked were the verses and the pre-choruses the most. I'm a sucker for a good kick, clap, beat combo, and the vibes are amazing. The chorus doesn't bother me as much as it does others. It's repetitive, sure. Is it kind of an anti-drop? Yes and no. It's made to get stuck in the listener's head, and it serves its purpose. Could they have added some new melody lines to give it a little bit more life? Sure, but it's not that bad in my opinion. A pre-release song in K-pop is not the same as a title track, which I know confuses some people. Here in the West, they used to be known as like buzz singles sometimes. And while a buzz single and a pre-release track in K-pop are sometimes different, their purpose is generally the same. Introduce some new element from the artist to listeners, generate a buzz and create hype for an upcoming release, and not get as much promotion as the main single. In this way, KITSCH did exactly that. It's not the title track because it's not supposed to be. It doesn't set up the record like I Am does. It was just supposed to remind people that IVE is still here, and it did just that. Liz's like 6 seconds in the song total is a crime. You're telling me Liz wasn't in the recording studio, saw her one part highlighted, and wasn't a little sad? Maybe I'm projecting here, but even factoring in cultural differences and trying to balance parts correctly, it really is a shame that she didn't get just a little bit more in the song, because her voice is just heavenly. Overall, I really like KITSCH, I do stream it, but a noticeable balancing gap in part division keeps it from being even more of a standout for me. I was really happy to see EXE of Cosmic Girls' name in the liner notes for this song. I feel a little bit of her flair on the track, and I think it serves IVE well. Lips introduces a more relaxed vibe, and truthfully, in another life, it probably could have been a Twice song. The reverberating guitar was a nice touch, and as the album's 4th track and first track that audiences probably have not heard by this time, it provides a nice change up in sound. It's more chill and less anthemic. This is another one that I predict dives will probably love because the harmonies are just gorgeous. Speaking of reverberated sounds, IVE killed the reverb on this record. Reverb is a tricky vocal effect because too much can sound really cool, but it can clog up your mix and make everything sound messy, but too little can steal a great moment and make everything fall flat too. IVE always knows how much to put into a track, so hats off to the producers for that one. This song in particular is a good example of traditional pop melodies and unexpected IVE twists. For example, the post-chorus ooh na 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 rides on minor notes rather than going up in the scale like you might expect to try and keep a more rounded edge that's present on the rest of the track. It's a great track that could have been like an FX B-side at one point, and that is intended to be a very high compliment. Mine's bass pad hit my ears and scratched an itch. The main refrain is a good hook, and while their vocals are a little bit softer, I quite enjoyed a simple pop offering from IVE. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to this song, which creates a fresh moment in the album track listing, and there really doesn't need to be a lot of bells and whistles on the song because it's fine how it is. And that fresh moment in the track listing is needed, especially with the next song. Hypnosis really said, "Notice me" with that intro. While the synth line at the beginning is not my personal favorite sound, I don't think you would get the same impact with the track if it wasn't there. Like if it just started with the vocals and verse and there wasn't anything before it, I don't think it would hit the same. You almost kind of need it. It captures the attention of the listener and says, hey, wake up, album's not over yet. The vocals actually serve as a nice juxtaposition with all of the sounds going on in the background. IVE came for NCT sound and they pulled it off. I also really enjoyed that rap, which can sometimes pull away from a good melody in K-pop, is really only featured this prominently in this song. Therefore, it makes the rap sections more impactful, more interesting. showcases more depth and talent of the members, so it's a good track placement for me. I've seen some people say that Not Your Girl is a throwaway track from IVE IVE because it's sonically not like the rest of the album. And I think you can definitely argue that the tone is 100% different, but I disagree that it's a throwaway song. Honestly, Not Your Girl could be a title track from another album in the summer. It's got the hooks, it's got the production, the melodies that create a great single. I kinda wish there was a music video for it, but it's not a title track for good reason. Had Not Your Girl been the main promoted single from an album that starts off with the banger that is Blue Blood, the whole vibe and expectation for this record would be completely different and wrong, honestly, because it doesn't sound like the rest of the album. But it's also too good to go to waste. So as a fun B-side in the spring, to add some lightness to a darker toned record for the most part is kind of nice. I think the album needed something like Not Your Girl to balance its productions and sonics out, because without a dose of lightness, this album would almost be too dark, and I think it would give off the wrong message, especially because its title track I Am is relatively light too. To me, it's an awesome track, even if I understand why some people feel it's out of place. The moment I heard the IVE members sing Baby, my brain automatically wanted the next line to be why don't you just meet me in the middle? And then I got sad that it wasn't, and then I got over it. See how that works? The beginning of Next Page is a nice cool down after the up-tempo energy of Not Your Girl, but it doesn't make it feel like the album is over yet. The drums building in the pre-chorus is another nice dose of that anthemic IVE sound, and that quick little synth note just before the final chorus is amazing. There's clearly some sweet moments to be had as we round out the rest of this record, and I quite enjoyed this one. I don't have much to say about Cherish other than it's a nice, slower song that the album needed. It's a pop R&B track that's reminiscent of Thank You Next era Ariana Grande. The chorus is nice and memorable, and the way the song feeds in those piano stabs is magnificent. A very solid B-side track. I've said this in album reviews past, but the album closer is an important part of the track listing because it has to successfully answer one question. What do you want the listener's impression of your entire record to be? Do you want them to feel like they've been through a story and now they've reached the conclusion? Should they feel inspired and ready to start the album over again? Is there a certain message that you want drilled into their minds? It's a vital section of the track listing that so often nowadays gets overlooked. Personally, I feel Shine With Me is a perfect album closer, even if I think others will probably feel it's a little bit cookie cutter, the typical ballad at the end of an album. IVE IVE is what I feel is a no-skip album, meaning that every song serves on its own, but also properly in succession with one another. Shine With Me feeds in more acoustic instrumentation that IVE IVE generally lacks in its other tracks. It's another made-for-stadium song that sweeps and swells in all the right places, creating a very strategic, soft landing for the listener on an otherwise pretty hard-hitting record, but that soft landing is properly enhanced by the tracks that precede it, so that Shine With Me doesn't feel like a last-minute addition or just tacked on at the end of an album because they didn't know what to do or how to end things. IVE must have a tour in mind because as of right now, their discography begs for it, especially with this album. There are only a fair few genres that I heard on this album, as opposed to other K-pop albums that cram an ungodly amount of genres into their record that usually work pretty well. IVE IVE is a sugary dessert for people like me, so this is how I would break it down. I put its umbrella genre as K-pop because obviously that's the easiest label to put on it. It's Korean, made for the Korean market, and at its core is made for Korean fans and international fans who enjoy K-pop. I'd say its subgenre is dance pop. Dance pop favors danceable beats coupled with radio-friendly melodies, creating an up-tempo and catchy feel. You could argue bubblegum or teen pop here, but IVE IVE has some mature undertones to it that I think lend themselves better to dance pop, which is a little bit broader, and 95% of this record wants listeners to dance. Speaking of its maturity, I would put its niche as R&B for quite a few reasons. First of all, both pop and R&B love thick vocal harmony stacking, but R&B is usually categorized by inconsistent beats, which IVE IVE also dips its toes into. Seen more directly in songs like Next Page, Cherish, and Lips, the R&B elements of this album serve to remind the public that IVE can keep up with what's dominating the market, but they don't need to rely on it either. Finally, I would put its micro niche as arena rock. Don't get too hung up on the word rock, okay? All you need to understand is that historically, pop evolved from rock music, okay? That's all you need to know. The important part here is the word arena. Arena rock, like the name implies, is music intended for large venues and utilizes those commercial and radio-friendly hooks with up-tempo productions to get fans excited. It makes the listener feel the music, which is exactly the intention IVE and Starship had with this album, giving us a K-pop album with influences of rap, bubblegum, and orchestral pop utilizing R&B vocal stylings in conjunction with dance pop productions to create arena rock style tracks that place a lyrical emphasis on youth, independence, and confidence. If you're a K-pop fan who enjoys girl groups, feeling like a badass, and loves a good headbanger or the occasional moment to just vibe and chill, this album is for you. Overall, I really enjoyed IVE IVE and think, as I said earlier, it's a no-skip album. The 11-song track list was a nice little callback to their debut song of the same name, and when picturing a first album from these 6 women, this is what I pictured, but it also gave some unexpected moments and glitter too. I didn't feel like, other than the exception of KITSCH, that any one member outshined the others. Liso's vocals added tenderness when it was necessary. Gal and Rei gave the tracks flair when it was important. Wonyoung and Yujin added their pizzazz to the tracks. Liz, who could have been highlighted a little bit more, still poked through and said, "Hi, I'm a member too." So for an album that could have very easily been seen as a mess if KITSCH was the title track, it certainly wasn't. It's truly a great, solid first album. I do hope in the future that we'll get some more of the softer sides of the IVE members and some minor balancing adjustments, but like I said, this album is pretty solid. So go check it out if you haven't already. Subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. What songs are your favorite and what did you think about IVE IVE? Let me know in the comments. And if you got to this point in the video, make sure you put an umbrella in the comment section so that way I know you're a real one. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.